Democrats circulate plans to take control of internet, including regulations on political speech. Senate Democrats are circulating, this is by Jim Hoft for the gatewaypundit.com. Senate Democrats are circulating their plan to take control of the internet. The plans include mandatory location verification, mandatory identity identification, and disclosure requirements for political speech. Here is a link to the document. Reason.com reported a leaked memo circulating among Senate Democrats contains a host of bonkers, authoritarian proposals for regulating digital platforms, purportedly as a way to get tough on Russian bots and fake news. To save American trust in our institutions, democracy, free press, and markets, it suggests we need unprecedented and undemocratic government intervention into online press and markets, including comprehensive data protection legislation of the sort enacted in the EU. Wow. Titled Potential Policy Proposals for Regulations of Social Media and Technology Firms, the draft policy paper penned by Senator Mark Warner and leaked by an unknown source to Axios. The paper starts out by notifying that Russians have long spread disinformation, including when the Soviets tried to spread fake news denigrating Martin Luther King. Here he fails to mention that the Americans in charge at the time did the same. But now it's different because technology. Today's tools seem almost built for Russian disinformation techniques, Warner opines, and the ones to come, he assures us, will be even worse. Here's how Warner is suggesting we deal. Mandatory location verification. The paper suggests forcing social media platforms to authenticate and disclose the geographic origin of all user accounts or posts. Mandatory identity verification. The paper suggests forcing social media and tech platforms to authenticate user identities and only allow authentic accounts. Inauthentic accounts not only pose threats to our democratic process, but undermine the integrity of digital markets with failure to appropriately address inauthentic account activity, punishable as a violation of both SEC disclosure rules and or Section 5 of the Federal Trade Commission Act. Bot labeling. Warner's paper suggests forcing companies to somehow label bots or be penalized. No word from Warner on how this is remotely feasible. Define popular tech as essential facilities. These would be subject to all sorts of heightened rules and controls, says the paper, offering Google Maps as an example of the kinds of apps or platforms that might count. The law would not mandate that a dominant provider offer the service for free, writes Warner. Rather, it would be required to offer it on reasonable and non-discriminatory terms provided by the government. Other proposals include more disclosure requirements for online political speech, more spending to counter supposed cybersecurity threats, more funding for the Federal Trade Commission, a requirement that companies' algorithms can be audited by the feds, and this data shared with universities and others, and a requirement of interoperability between dominant platforms. Well, in one sense, yeah, I'm all for, Yeah, but look, the thing is, they know who you are without this. You think that they don't know who you are and if you're a bot or not? I mean, you got to be kidding me. Of course, you're going to have to authenticate who you are, your identity. They know where you live, they know what you're talking about. So this is just rambling on. It doesn't, the government knows everything, okay? So I don't, yeah, you should verify the identity. Yeah, of course you should. And you should know if it's a bot or not, you know. So I don't even understand what they're talking about here because, to take control of the internet, they already have control of the internet. But, they just want to I don't know what they want to do for political speech because I do the stories too. But of course, don't they have your address? They have all your information. They know if you're. The only thing is that they should look at situations where there are bots. Yeah. Yeah, you should check that out. But I'm sure they're starting to do that or something. I just don't get this whole thing. I think the only thing they're trying to do is just cut out free speech like they're doing in the EU. And of course, in the EU, don't they know where the people live? Of course they do. So I just don't get this whole thing. I just don't get it. The thing is that they think that they're going to win the election by the falsehoods that CNN and everybody on mainstream media are pumping out. Maybe a couple of old people, that they're not really on the internet and they just watch the regular mainstream media channels because I do have quite a few in my family that, that's how they're used to it. But again, even they don't even believe what the mainstream media is saying. And, usually I'll give them some information as to what's really going on. Look, they can do whatever they want. People are not for what the Democrats stand for. Bottom line, you have to be totally out of your mind. What is right for them is wrong for them. Yeah, what's right is wrong, and what's wrong is right. So it's not going to fly. It's just not. They can do what they want, but it's not going to fly. And I'm all for basically what Isa was saying. Representative Isa, he said that the FEC should get involved with this, and it shouldn't be a monopoly, so to speak. In other words, YouTube, they hire all liberals. So they're not being fair to conservatives. And this is used by everybody. It should not be a monopoly. Look, everybody is allowed to make their own decision, but now you can see in the EU, they're not allowed to make their own decision. That's like kind of like where are we heading? We're not heading into the future. We're heading back, I don't even know, to the Stone Age at this point. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And again, thank you so much for watching.